again. Thank you. Thank you from all of us at Nokia, too.
Thank you.
I'm going to invite Christina and Juha back on stage. We have time for some questions from the members of the press that have joined us here today. Thank you for making the trip, from many of you from around the world. We have guests with paddles. And if you have a question, if you could please raise your hand, and we will bring a paddle and a microphone to you. Okay, it looks like we have one here with number 4.
Hi, Alistair from B3. It's probably going to be a bit thick, but could you explain a bit more about how the oversampling technology works? Maybe a bit more about the
This is why they're on stage. Go for it.
Yeah, so in high level, it means that you take up to 7 pixels from the sensor, and when you combine all those pixels, you create a so-called superpixel, which has much, much more information than the individual pixels in the image sensor. So that's the key, to have really low noise, sharp images, and also it helps in the kind of color processing, which is going to kind of quite a lot of details, but that's kind of high level.
Hey, we have a white paper.
Yes, we have a white paper.
Yeah. Very cool white paper available. It's quite long, but intimate detail, intricate detail on all of the capabilities that we described today for technologists.
And the white paper is available on the press site. Number 1, please.
Arthur Goldstock from Gadget in South Africa. Africa and India are still strongholds for Nokia, and really have bucked the trends for a while. Does this camera meet the needs of those kind of markets, developing world markets? And in what way will it appeal to those markets?
So 2 parts to that. In every market around the world, we see the leading technology more and more becoming popular. And so for camera enthusiasts and just for smartphone lovers who want to take a great or have a great imaging experience, it clearly appeals to those people. At the same time, let me describe an important aspect of Nokia's strategy. Clearly, the Lumia 1020 is a flagship device where the most advanced capabilities are really pushed to their maximum. At the same time, what our engineers do is identify how elements of that technology and innovation can be scaled down or brought down to lower price points. So we lead with the flagship, but then what you should expect to see is elements of these types of capabilities, be it in software, the algorithms, or the hardware, brought down to lower price points so we can get more people who are more price sensitive, perhaps, to take advantage of some of these capabilities.
Right. Number 6, please.
Could you give us a sense of how Nokia and AT&T will promote, market, and advertise the product at launch? And if AT&T could tell me if on July 26th the product will also be available through its indirect channels.
So, first of all, as it relates to the promotion effort, we've worked for some number of months to plan this jointly with AT&T. You will see AT&T, Microsoft, and Nokia pool its resources for a consistent campaign that really focuses on the breakthrough capabilities of the devices. You will see in-store promotion. You'll see advanced training of the sales representatives in AT&T stores. You'll see a really, really big push towards this. And in terms of indirect channels, I suspect it will be going into indirect channels. It tends to start immediately in the stores and then quickly thereafter end up in the indirect channels as well. And it will be going to indirect channels. I'm getting the nod from our team here.
Number 5, please.
Hi, Hugo Morales from wireless.com. You were talking about a special version of the Lumia 1020 for Telefonica. Can you talk about that a little more?
So we don't want to steal too much thunder from Telefonica. They'll be making an announcement of their own that will share a bit more details on what we've done uniquely for them.
Number 4, please.
Dalal Abu Ghazali from Al Hayat newspaper. It's a pan-Arab newspaper. My first question is when it's going to be launched in the Middle East? And the second question, other than the camera, what other features do you have which will compete with iPhone 5 and Samsung 4?
Other than the camera.
Yes.
So your first question, in this quarter, we're expecting the device to be in select European markets, China, the United States, and then through the end of the year, you'll see it broaden out into various markets, including certain markets in the Middle East. In terms of the overall differentiation of a product like the Lumia 1020, clearly the camera, the audio, all of those capabilities are a dominant feature in this device. But at the same time, of course, it's built on Windows Phone 8. In terms of having a much better and more engaging live experience, it begins with Windows Phone 8. But many of the other capabilities that we celebrated with the Lumia 920, for example, are here as well. For example, the screen technology, which allows you to see your pictures or whatever you're doing, even in the brightest of sunlight. The fact that you can control the screen while you're wearing a glove or just with the ends of your fingernails. Wireless charging through the attachment shell, and a variety of other things that makes this a complete and competitive device relative to the competitors, but goes one big step further because of the imaging technology. Thank you.
Let's take a question from the back, number 3.
Hi, Pete Pasha with Mashable. Why did you choose not to build wireless charging directly into the device?
So we had a number of discussions with consumers in terms of how they thought about that. We were also very interested in making sure that the thinness of the device was as tight as it could be. Ralph made the comment that we're packing a lot in there, so we had to balance that constraint. So we're trying different things. We're totally committed to wireless charging, and you'll see it in different configurations, both inboard and as an attachment in devices in the future as well. So something we're working with.
Number 6, please.
Joan Lappin, Forbes.com. Over the last interval since you introduced the Lumia in New York, AT&T has really been a dreadful partner. If you went in, I bought one, I own one, it's sitting here in my purse, and I love it. But the reality is, if you went into the store, most of the salespeople knew nothing about it. There was no signage, and if you asked about it, they really didn't promote it. So what have you done to make sure that this terrific phone doesn't get the same crummy treatment from AT&T that you've had in the past that has curtailed your sales?
So first of all, I'm going to generalize this to a fundamental challenge that Nokia faces, and it's a challenge that Nokia owns, not AT&T. And that is, we made the bold decision to not try and just create another set of phones using a common operating system that so many others have pursued. We said we are going to create the third ecosystem. And with that decision came tremendous responsibility to actually help, whether it's a retail sales associate, an operator partner, consumers, the press, everyone, to understand what that third alternative stands for. And we stand by that decision because if you look at the market today, you can see 2 big competitors. We used to talk about Android as a competitor. We now talk about a hardware company as the competitor. That whole dynamic has changed. And yet our growth in market share, the success we're building on day by day, is coming because we made that bold choice. But the price that we take on for doing that is that, yes, we, Nokia, have to train those sales associates. We have to work with AT&T to get the best signage. What you'll see with the launch of the Lumia 1020 is something that will be far better than we've done ever before with AT&T, but it won't be as good as what we do with the next major launch later this year, and on and on and on. So there's a lot of work required to push through with that third ecosystem. And we are so pleased with the effort that the AT&T team have put behind this. It's hard work for all of us, and I know we have tough moments, but boy, we're very pleased that they're committed and standing behind us every step of the way as we grow with them. So thank you for your questions and for joining us today. Before we leave, I wanted to share a perspective from a famous American photographer, a man by the name of Ansel Adams. He said, the single most important component of a camera is the 12 inches behind the camera. In other words, it's all of you, the photographer. You are each the most important part of the Lumia 1020. So now we want to encourage you to explore this new world, this new way of taking pictures. Please join me